Welcome to the following on podcast after an epic test match in which England have won by 5 wickets. We've had the 10th highest aggregate of well over 1,600 runs, 35 wickets, a little bit of everything, and yet another test match victory which will be savoured for a long, long time. Not by India, of course, who had their chances. They were 430 for 3 in the first innings. On the second day, they could have put the game to bed, really, made it safe, and they weren't able to do that. England fought their way back, and an epic day on the final day. Steve Harmison alongside me. Ben Duckett deserved the Man of the Match award for an innings of 149, an opening partnership of 188 with Zach Crawley. So many contributions throughout the Test match, and you know, England have gone 1-0 up, and that might hurt India less had they not had all those chances. They dropped catches. They took Harry Brook's wicket with a no ball on naught. He made 99. So there'll be, I think, a lot of regrets in their camp.
Yeah, I think there'll be an air of what could have been, I think, from India's point of view. Both times with the bat, they were in great positions, and England blew the tail away, which it can be done. Yes, the catches. I mean, how many times you see a touring side and a new touring side? I'm trying to find reasons for them mistakes. Some of the reasons could be there's not many of them played in England before. Not many of them have played Headingley before, and catching at Headingley on the ground behind us, going down the slope is a difficult art. Probably that end and Lords, two of the most difficult places to slip field because of, you know, what with the slope and the way it loads and the ball wobbles. These are things that I'm trying to, you know, give a reason to why India have had their struggles, but I think the batting will disappoint them more than anything else. 430 for 3, 471 all out. They should have had a 150-run lead, and that 150-run lead ultimately would have won them the Test match.
When you say the batting will disappoint them, it's ironic, isn't it? They've become the first team ever to have 5 centuries and lose a Test. That's a record that has stood for over 70 years. So it's the top order batting, but the lower order batting. You know how much I love lower order runs, and India's tail was dreadful. I mean, Shubman Gill was asked before the Test match, will you be prepared during this series to pick wicket-taking bowlers, whether they can bat or not? And he said yes, they would be. So that meant Kuldeep Yadav and, I guess the guys that we've seen, Mohammad Siraj and Prashid Krishna. They can't bat, they're not going to contribute much, but they've contributed almost nothing. And Josh Tongue has taken 7 for 156.
Yeah. And
all 7 wickets, all tail-enders. In fact, wicket to wicket, he's got like 7 for 15.
Yeah, but that's the art of a fast bowler. Can you finish a tail off? How many times? 2021 when India beat England in the Lords Test match, and I think Mohammad Shami and Jasprit Bumrah put on 70 or 80 to win the game. No big fast bowler there to knock over a tail. We had Broad Anderson for so long, but the bowler 80 mile an hour, Chris Woakes style. Chris Woakes is not going to knock a tail over. Chris Woakes is going to knock 1, 2, 3 over with a brand new ball and swinging it away when he gets up to speed and gets the overs under his belt. So you have to have different weapons at your disposal. And Ben Stokes used these weapons wisely and waited for when the time was to strike with the tail end coming in. And Josh Tongue, Bryden Carse, 2 imposing characters, both bowl a heavy ball from a tall release point. And this year the rest is history. From Jadeja down over, they look as though they didn't really fancy facing Josh Tongue, Bryden Carse, Ben Stokes himself. And that's an art in itself. So, I think, and then you look at England's tail wagged, not a problem. Where Chris Woakes had nearly 40. You look at, Bryden Carse with 20 odd. Even Josh Tongue were a double figure score. More than anyone, even Josh Tongue at number 10 had more runs than any one of the 8, 9, 10, 11 than India had. So that's massive in the contest. So fair play to England. England, when they were given the chance, they took their chance. And that was the thing that will disappoint India. They had 2 or 3 instances where they should have won the game, or should have been better positioned in the game at the end of a day's play, and they still let England in. And the problem you have is in this modern day game, you let this England off once, they might not punish you. You let them off twice, 3 times, 4 times, and ultimately they will run all over the top of you. And yes, people will say, but they chased 371. They did, but England believed they could chase 371. I don't think India believed they could defend 371.
They didn't. Just a very quick word, you didn't mention Jamie Smith there, 40 in the first innings. He's number 7, he's a quality player and he's got first-class hundreds, he's got a test 100 as well. He was really important in that first innings. Everybody was chipping in. Harry Brook made 99, but everybody was chipping in, and they fought really hard. Ben Stokes spoke about it after the Test match, about the character shown by the team in order to get close to that Indian total. Well, first of all, to induce a collapse of 7 for 41, but then to get up close. Jamie Smith batted well, and in the second innings, in the run chase, he looked like ice in the veins. It looked like ice in the veins.
He's a real deal for me. I mean, first time I saw this kid, I thought, I understand the argument with Ben Folkes, but will never be convinced the other way. I'll never be convinced the Ben Folkes way. Unfortunately, I played in my era of Jack Russell over Alex Stewart, never a contest. Chris Reed over Geraint Jones, a closer contest, but still no contest. And then obviously the same over Matt Pryor. And anybody that wants to try and convince me that a good gloveman, Pryor got better as a gloveman, but anybody convinced me that, from a Pryor's point of view, that he shouldn't be in the team because there's a better gloveman out there. Matty was an unbelievable cricketer. This boy's the same. This kid, if you look at through my time, Alex Stewart will take some beating. Matt Pryor, for me, was one of England's all-time greatest wicket keepers. This kid might be well on his way to do the same, because the only thing that stops him from doing that is if we find another wicketkeeper that's decent with a bat, and he ends up going and bats at number 4 or number 6 once Ben eventually goes, or Joe eventually goes. That's the only way that Jamie Smith, for me, doesn't get to the sort of top echelons of wicketkeeper batter greatness over the course of the next 10, 15 years that he's potentially in the team. I think he's a smashing player, and he can play 2 or 3 different types of ways. And that one, even tonight, just come out. There wasn't any freedom until probably the last over. And in the last over, he hit 16 off 3 balls, and that was just brilliant. It's great to see, and to see the boys play with the freedom that they have, the leadership qualities that, like I've mentioned many times before, this captain gives them, the belief that he gives them. He walked on the field there knowing this afternoon, at warm up, standing in a huddle, telling 10 other people that are representing England, we are going to win today, and I reckon 10 other people believed him. Came true.
So with 500s in the top order, Rishabh Pant scoring 200s, the first player to score 100 in both innings, or the second player to score 100 in both innings and lose the game. The first was Andy Flower. With Yashasvi Jaiswal, the captain Shubman Gill, KL Rahul all scoring hundreds, is there a potential division that might develop between the batsmen and the bowlers, or is that like old school? I mean, there used to be like, well, we did our job, why can't you do yours? And you did spend a couple of minutes here talking to Prasid Krishna just before we started recording this. I felt terribly sorry for him. He's become the most expensive bowler to bowl more than 20 overs in a test match in India's test history. And yet, just overhearing the conversation, I tried not to eavesdrop. Well, I tried to eavesdrop, actually. But he sounded like he had really clear plans. He sounded clear thinking. It looked muddled from up here when we were commentating, but he's come into the game with clear plans, and he came and sought your advice. So hopefully there isn't a division amongst the batsmen and bowlers.
No, in the England team, I don't think there would be. I'm not so sure in a subcontinent team in India or Pakistan, Sri Lanka. not really know too much about the Bangladesh lot, but over in that part of the world, there is a little bit more of self-preservation, shall we say? There's a little bit more looking after, each other, not looking after each other as a group and as a team, but looking after number one. So, yes, there could be a bit of a division built in that group, especially without Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, and R. Ashwin, because I think we've got to remember R. Ashwin's not long gone out of that dressing room, holding them all together. I've been doing Indian TV as well, and I spoke to Prasid Krishna on the morning of day 3. Just met him for the first time, said hello, everything was like that. I told him to enjoy England and bowling here and everything that goes with it. What a lovely man. First and foremost, lovely fella. I'm pleased I said on Super Over I'd stick with him, because I would stick with him, and I didn't. And I'm not saying that now because I've just spoke to him. I did say this: if you're watching this and you've seen following the Super Over, the Super Over was recorded before I spoke to Prasid Krishna. I'm going to say exactly the same thing. So apologies if you've watched both, but yes, he had a plan. He should be suited for English cricket. He's tall release point. He's big, taller than me. He's got long arms, long hands. He's got big hands, and he's got a good snap. He bowled balls of 90 mile an hour. So I would stick with him. This is only his 4th Test match. The problem he has is he might have a plan, but like I mentioned to him just a second ago, your plan gets moved around when you're bowling at Crawley and you're bowling at Duckett. And the problem you have is one's 6'5", the other one's 5'8", left and right hander, and you might bowl a good ball, but if you're trying to hedge your bets in the field, you've got men on the boundary, that's fine. But if your men inside the circle have got to stay inside the circle and stop scoring runs, I said, because at times he's gone for 6 point whatever and over. You are bowling balls, good balls, which fielders should be stopping, but they're not stopping, and you're getting a single. And if they do that 4 or 5 times, the rotation of strike, you're changing your plan, your lengths are massively different to either one. You just have to miss them slightly, and you've gone for 4, you're going to 8 and 9 and over, and you've actually bowled not a bad over. So you've got to get that right first and foremost. But from a rhythm point of view, he looked okay. He looked more suited going down the hill, and I felt sorry for him. You could see that, like you say, he had a plan. If there's a division of batters versus bowlers, I think the bowlers can turn around and say, well, if you caught them 3 catches, 4 catches, if you were on 1 and stopped them, then we were talking about a completely different contest. So that's where the division might build up, because the batters will say, well, we're scoring runs, you're not taking wickets. Hold on.
You're dropping catches.
I'll pin whoever's just set up against the wall and start punching him and saying, you got to start catching catches.
You're listening to Following On with me, Neil Manthorp, along with former England fast bowler Steve Harmison, as we continue to look back at England's 5-wicket win in the first Test against India here at Headingley. All right, Harmy, let's move on to Edgbaston, shall we? I might just circle back. There's a few other things that I want to talk about that we haven't covered yet, but let's just throw it forward to Edgbaston. It is 7 days' time. Rishabh Pant... never mind Rishabh Pant. We'll come back to him. Jasprit Bumrah, wrapped in cotton wool. Will he play the second Test? He's only going to play 3 out of 5. All of that speculation, is that a distraction in the Indian changing room, do you think? Will he play Edgbaston? I mean, if he can't play the whole series, obviously he's a great, and India wants him to play whenever he can, but it is a distraction, certainly for us in the media. That's our job now. But for the team, the other players.
Yeah, possibly for the team. Do you know when it came out and it said he's only going to play 3 or 5? I thought they've only said that to give Shubman Gill the captaincy. Because the captaincy was talked about, Gill over Jasprit. And it was like, well, we'll make the decision easier. Shubman's going to be captain. Young, we're going to stick with a young player. We're going to give him the team for the next few years because Jasprit can't play in all these games. So that's fine. But now you've made a statement. And you've made a statement that we can all, England have made many statements about Stokes' fitness in the past. Archer's fitness in the past, Wood's fitness in the past. So why can't Jasper Bumrah play in all 5 Test matches? You know, majority of England bowlers, some of the England bowlers will. Ben Stokes will. Chris Woakes probably will. He bowled 40 odd overs there. He looked fine. He looked all good. The thing for me with Bumrah is you've got to play him while the series is alive. No point playing him when the series is gone. 8 days between now and Edgbaston. Why can't he play? So he'll play the second one. Speaking to a few of the former India players, they were of the opinion that he wouldn't play at Edgbaston because he's needed for Lords. I would want him at Lords, I must admit. I really would. I'd rather have him playing at Lords than Edgbaston. Edgbaston will be flat. But you've got that break. You're 1-0 down the series. I came into this game today, into this day's play today, going, this is going to be interesting because if England win, Jasper has to play at Edgbaston. If England lose, Archer has to play at Edgbaston. So one of the teams is going to take a risk with one of their premier assets. Now, England can go to Edgbaston, see what Jofra's done. While recording this, he's bowled 18 overs. By all accounts, he didn't bowl quickly, but he's bowled lively and he's bowled nicely. 2 for 30 odd up at Durham. He's got a second innings to go. You get more bowling into him next week, and then you keep him for Lords, because that's where I would want to play Jofra. Now England have won. England might have the luxury of doing like that, because Atkinson might be fit. And if Atkinson's fit, you can't play Atkinson and Archer in the same team, because one's coming back from an hamstring injury, and one's coming back from 4 years and one game in 4 years. So these are the things which are made easier from a decision point of view when you've just chased 371 and everything's cock a hoop. The problem India have got now is I think they have to play Jasper Bumrah at Edgbaston because of what the other bowl and attack look like. But I think they might have to have a real look at the balance of their side. And their balance of their side might need a Washington Sundar in. I can't believe they'll play a Karan now at Edgbaston. And then you've got to, if Jadeja plays, Washington doesn't, because Jadeja's going to have to bat 6. You've got to try and get Kuldeep in. Siraj might be up on offer. I'd stick with Krishna. Really would. He gives you a little bit of something different because he's tall. And India might have to play one less batter, play a couple of all-rounders to then sort of depth the batting.
What I was going to ask you about Rishabh Pant, and we'll come back to him, is does he have a bigger role to play without the bat or the gloves, as in the Virat Kohli fire the team up? That's really, and I backed off from mentioning him because, you know, maybe that's unfair if you say, like, okay, we want you to score hundreds, bat 5, keep wicket, but we also want you to fire the team up and be the replacement for Virat Kohli. You said that Kohli was most missed in this Test match because there was no fire, there was no oomph and verve, you know, amongst the Indian team. So, how do you replace that? You can't ask someone to play that role if it doesn't come naturally to them, can you?
Yeah, I was just about to say that's the part you have to have. You have to have. It's got to be coming natural to you. And people would say to me, well, you never said much, you didn't sledge anybody, you didn't have a go at anybody verbally. I was like, no, because I didn't know how. It wasn't natural to me. Yeah. It's not. I mean, Rishabh Pant is, you know, God forbid he's back from a serious, horrendous car crash. He's just happy being here. He's happy in life. You know, he's having a great time. He's enjoying playing for India again. Batting, wicketkeeper. He is not the Jack Russell, and I don't mean that Jack Russell as in the wicketkeeper Jack Russell. The Jack Russell little terrier that's at your ankles and at you verbally and getting, you know, yap. He's not like that. The problem is, I don't think there's many of them are, and that would be something that would not disappoint me, but I'd be wary of going and trying to mix somebody like that, because Shubman Gill's not that way, KL Rahul's not that way, and when you look at Virat Kohli, that's what Virat Kohli was. He was spiky, wasn't he? He was in your face. But Rohit Sharma wasn't. I think you have to play that role, you have to be like that way in nature, and unfortunately there's not many of them like that.
And that's it for now. Just a reminder that we'll bring you live ball-by-ball commentary of the second Test of the series from Edgbaston, with our coverage getting underway at 10:30 a.m. next Wednesday. But stay tuned to Following On, where we'll continue to bring you more reaction from an epic Test match here at Headingley.